Yo,
you've been doing the podcast alone for
like 2 weeks.
3 episodes?
2 weeks.
Was
now.
it? Yeah.
How'd that go?
Wow.
That shit was weird, man. Because I couldn't get the audio was like weird too for the last 2 weeks. So I apologize again for the audio.
But dude, you still did it, man.
Yes,
awesome.
sir. Yes, sir.
I was a little worried, but you still like got it through.
Did you listen to our last episode? I'm just like ranting.
I'm kind of scared too.
I saw bits and pieces of it.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So, I actually see your stuff.
Wow.
Dude,
Awesome, man.
we love you, man.
Yeah. But yeah, my cousin is finally here. Don't you see the resemblance? Yeah.
Total twins, man.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up, everybody?
Chris, what's going on, brother?
Not much. Chilling. Came down to Gwangju to see my brothers.
Yes, sir, man. Today was it was a fun day, man.
Yeah.
Play basketball.
Chris is actually 6'3" or 6'4".
Yeah.
Yeah, around that.
Yeah.
Bro,
Pretty short.
Like you're actually like really good.
You too.
So you don't like you actually like play, right? You used to like play
Yeah.
college.
Well, not okay. The college, no, I didn't. I forewent that. I didn't want to do it. Basically, high school was my like prime years, I guess. Yeah, high school basketball. Yeah,
Were you like center?
I was SF, which means small
nice.
forward for people who don't know.
Small.
So I was really
forward,
into
bro.
it. Yep.
Yes, sir.
How about yourself?
Small forward.
Small
I'm
forward.
smaller than you. So I don't know. Tiny forward. Yeah, man.
But it was a good
That was fun.
experience. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the first time playing with you guys,
Yeah, dude.
and more to come.
Fun. Yeah, because like in Korea, you actually can join different kinds of leagues.
Exactly. We have clubs. I'm in a
Yeah.
club right now.
Yeah.
Usually, we play other clubs. They're usually Korean, right?
Mhm.
They're really, really fun on the weekends. Sometimes in leagues, which is really fun too.
So Chris. So like for ballers out there, people who like to play basketball.
Yep.
What is your honest assessment of Koreans and their balling skills?
Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, I
What's
can
your
go
take?
on and on,
Yeah.
but they're not physical. You know how basketball in the States is mad physical? People
Yeah.
push each other around.
Yeah, a lot.
And people here call the chinsiest fouls. So if you kind
Oh.
of shove them or body them up,
Yeah.
they get like kind of butthurt about that, which I don't
They
like.
call fouls?
A lot. So if I tap you on a shoulder while you're shooting or something like that, for example,
Yeah.
that would be a foul. But
Dude,
that's
really?
one thing that I kind of don't like. But
Yeah. So are they good?
So are they good? Korean
Yeah.
people, yeah, they're very good.
Really?
Very good. I would say in terms of team basketball, Koreans are very good. They're really good shooters.
Yeah.
They have stamina. They run all over the place. So
But like in terms of like ball handling and actual like, like are they good? Like can they handle it all?
definitely, if you see KBL, some of the players are amazing.
Really? Like
Yeah, even like all the Korean people, man. Korean people, they're really, really good. KBL is actually. I've been to a few games.
What's KBL
And-
for those people who don't know?
Korean basketball league.
Okay, that's like the Korean NBA.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
It's a pro league, basically. So yeah, you
They're
see
like
a lot
nasty.
of good players.
They're really good.
They're really good. You see people like me too. I'm half Korean and half American. There's some like half of people,
Yeah, actually,
play.
I've seen a lot of like half people play.
Exactly. Some are really good. I have a few connections. Once in a while I play with KBL people back in the Army base in Yongsan. So no, once in a while I do play with them. Yeah.
How did your dad meet, your mom?
Whoa! We just went from like basketball to like
because he's a halfie, so like
he's a halfie.
Right.
So I'm curious myself. I don't even know. Like so.
It's like a romantic story. This is back in the 70s in Korea. It's a totally different time period, right? This is when foreigners were really, really stared at when like, you're just an outsider if you're a foreigner in Seoul, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine that. I think this was like 78, if I remember correctly. Okay, the story goes, my dad was with his friend. They were both teaching. They had teaching jobs. It was a really rainy day, okay, to set you the mood. They were waiting for the same bus that my mother was about to ride on. So they all got in the same bus, of course. And it started pouring even harder, right? Just imagine like the scene. my mom, right at the time, she wanted to get off the stop and she didn't have an umbrella. And
oh my god, dude.
my dad's friend was about to like, cock block. Right? He was into her, so he wanted to do
really?
yeah, he wanted to like,
Wow.
just go for it, like, ask her out or something.
Yeah.
So what my dad does, he recognizes that, takes his umbrella. They were sharing one umbrella apparently. He took the umbrella, got out, and then gave an umbrella so she didn't get wet.
Wow,
right?
that's like some K-drama
Yeah, why?
shit.
I mean, why doesn't this happen to me? Like, I don't know how to meet people like this. Am I socially inept? Right? I don't know.
But no one does that anymore.
Yeah.
The chivalry is
exactly.
gone now,
Definitely.
except for us.
Yeah, really?
Except for you guys. Definitely.
Dude, that's really cool, man.
So what brought your dad over here in the first place in Korea?
That's a really good question because he used to be a Peace Corps volunteer.
Oh,
He had choices.
Respect to him.
I think Africa and China were the other two choices that he had.
Mm-hmm.
So he chose Korea. I think maybe he knew some people. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
So he came to teach. Basically.
Oh, can teach English?
Yeah.
But like, was he good enough to speak? Was his Korean good, or was your mom's English good, or
No, it was.
how did they communicate? Like,
They
sign
really
language?
didn't.
That's real love, man.
Yeah, that's real love.
That's real love.
Just gestures, man.
Yeah,
Right? The heart gesture.
yeah.
I have no clue.
Damn,
Dude.
that's like the most confusing and really impressive thing to me.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, when you're in a relationship or I don't know, I've never been married, but like in a relationship,
Yeah.
you have to like some stuff you really got to talk about.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like they have to you have to work it out. So that kind of stuff, for example, your parents,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing to me how they can work it out, even though they're not sufficient in like
I get
either
that.
language.
It's like there's so many things lost in translation, right? To begin with.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think they both learned the language off each other, if that makes sense.
Which thing? Like English?
Like Korean and English,
Korean
because my
and-
mom
Oh,
couldn't
okay.
speak English. So in that sense, the relationship worked towards a spiral to where they both learned language
Oh, okay.
by sharing. I mean, they had a, my mom, I'm sure, learned something from my dad, and my dad vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So you grew up? Did you grow up in the States or here? Like,
I grew up. Okay, I was born here,
uh-huh.
and I spent more than half my life here, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So my childhood was it wasn't stable at all. I went from, location to location, Vermont, California, to name a couple of places, right? My high school years, my junior high school, schooling was in a really small town called Vermont, what was it? Rutland?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, Vermont is really famous for like skiing. Nothing's there.
Mm-hmm.
Going back from Seoul to there was like incredibly like a huge
Polar
culture
opposite.
shock.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're flying back from the States to Korea, like back and forth?
Oh, not back and forth. It was because of my dad's job. He had a professorship, had an offer, right? So he went to like a college there.
Okay.
Like 2,000 people in the town.
Dude, that is
Right?
tiny.
Super
man.
tiny, definitely. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that kind of gives you an idea of my background because I was going from the U.S. back to Korea. Yeah.
But how, so where did you grew up in Korea though? Like majority of your life?
Well,
Yeah.
my childhood, yeah.
Right.
My youth, basically.
Bro, how was it? Like, cause like you said, even in the 70s, cause like you are half Korean, but
Yes.
you don't look that Korean.
You
Exactly.
look more,
yeah.
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 Yep.
So like,
white.
Indeed.
Yeah.
so
Censor that. But anyway, yeah.
were you like looked upon differently, or was there discrimination or anything, or?
Yeah, I was. I don't want to go back to like time period because it has a lot of pain to it. Because
Oh shit.
during the 90s, 80s, it was to the point where I fought a lot. At first, I was bullied because that's how people are. If they don't
Yeah.
know, they fear something. They fear outsiders. They treat you really differently. It's not as bad as like 70s, I'm sure, when my dad was there.
Yeah.
But I learned to hold my own. I had to, because if I don't stand up for myself when someone's calling you like really bad names in front of you or behind you, then it's just, I don't know. It got to my head. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Well, you're just a kid. Like
yeah.
when your dad came over here, like he's a grown man, right?
Yeah.
So like he definitely knew how to like deal with that kind of stuff.
Indeed.
But you were like growing up here, so it must have been like really hard for you Yeah. Wow.
Well, I appreciate your sentiment. Yeah, it's hard, but I mean, then again, there's so many people experiencing different things. A lot of half people like me, even more discriminated in a way. There's different types of discrimination, right? But yeah, not just me.
So what kind of discrimination do like because I experienced sort of like, you know, I was the only Asian growing up in Florida.
Yes.
So literally like sorry. I hear that every day like Jackie Chan, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so bad.
Yeah, like ching ching chong. Like I hear that every day. So like I used to get into fights all the time.
Exactly.
And then but that's because like I look Asian, I'm Asian, right?
Yeah.
But for you, you're like half Asian, half white.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what kind of discrimination would you get like by Koreans?
So like it
because
brings
you are
me
Korean.
right. It's a legitimate question.
Oh.
Like to give you an idea, like for instance, I got in an argument with a person in the subway. I was straight up. This is an older, more like older traditional Koreans are the ones who are likely to say something in front of your face without shame, right? So imagine me getting on the subway, just going home, minding my own business, and maybe a guy in his 60s, right, just sits next to me, and then starts muttering certain words that are like hateful, like, oh, look at this foreigner, like, and then, you know, when a cuss word or a bad language or a curse word comes out after he mutters like, you know, foreigner, that's when like things escalate. And it came to the point where this shit happened so much, I didn't really get numb. It just made me more angry, and it made me more antisocial in a way.
Were you the type of person to kind of like just kind of like take everything and not say anything, or you just reacted?
I blew up basically.
Oh, you did?
Shit. Yeah.
How'd you do?
As in like, oh, like I don't want to take this anymore. I can't handle it, and then I blow up, and then I walk off the scene, kind of thing. It's like I'm not gonna fight an older person, right? I'll just say something to stand up for myself, and then I become ashamed and then walk off.
Yeah. So you're like a ticking time bomb. Like anything.
wait.
Like anything can like go down basically, depending on the situation. Because you said he's an old dude, right? But let's say it's like someone your peers, then you could have easily like, you know, popped his mouth.
Yeah, and fist fights were not uncommon with me, especially when I was in like senior in high school.
High school?
Yeah, high school.
Oh yeah,
my
they had
senior
like
year
the
here.
Changs and stuff.
Yeah. There's boatload of stories with that. But
are you the Zhang of your school?
A Zhang, no, by no means.
Oh, Joe, why don't you explain Zhang to the people?
Zhang is basically like, I mean, probably our lovely friend Steve will be able to explain that. But yeah, Zhang is basically you're like the best fighter in the school, so like no one fucks with you. Yeah. So basically, yeah. But you're like super tall too. So
yeah.
Did people like? Were you always tall in high school? Did you grow after high school a lot more, or were you always tall in high school too?
Oh no, I had my growth spurt probably in my sophomore year. I just shot up like 4 or 5 inches. I think I was like below 6 feet. I remember my friend called me out. He's like, before you came back from the States, you were like shorter than me, right? He's not tall. And then like suddenly I come like in front of his door. I like knock on his door, and he's like, I'm like, young, and he's like, what? He's like, age,
wait, what?
Right? Exactly. That's what happened. Like during my sophomore year, I just shot up. And one day I just kind of like visited like my friend.
And your dad's pretty tall too. He's like 6'2".
Dude,
yeah. He shrank with age.
Gravity.
Really? Yeah. People shrink, man.
Yeah.
He's like,
that's so funny. People shrink.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
But he's tall.
But your Korean is like on the same level as Koreans.
A native.
Like, you are like
it is a native level, yeah.
Yeah. You are Korean.
Yeah. It doesn't mean I'm the best at everything, right? Because there's so many. I mean, Korean's actually pretty hard. Like the language structure, combination of Chinese words and stuff like that. Yeah. That's what I struggle with that. But when it comes to talking with you guys, Koreans, it's communication's easy.
So like when you speak Korean to people, are they like, what the fuck? Because you're like
on a daily basis, man. Yeah.
Even in like, now?
Even now.
Let's say you go to a convenience store, you're like, they're like 5,000원이야. They're like, 뭐 잔돈 있어요? Let's say you like 잔돈 있어요. They're like, what?
Yeah,
What
dude. At first they say 네? Because they don't expect it.
So you usually repeat twice.
Yeah, it comes to the point. But you know the worst thing is taxi drivers. I usually try not to speak Korean unless I have to, because they'll interrogate the crap out of me. Like, it's like I get in, I'm like, I just say like, 회기역으로 가주세요. And they're like, okay, so are you Korean? I'm like, dude, do I look Korean? And of course, then they start like jabbering on and on.
Yeah. Wow.
That must be a headache for you.
It is a headache, but you know, it's in a way sometimes it's entertaining. Not like I'm gonna fuck with people, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like you know, when I'm bored, you know, talk.
Right.
It's a good not instigator, but like a conversation, you know, thing, right?
So how do you compare it to like before, back then, like 80s, 90s when you're growing up to now? Like, do you get discriminated as much, or do they embrace you now?
So it's a great question. Right now it's totally different. Seoul is very much a global city, I think.
Yeah.
I think due to the universities in particular. Because there's so many international students now. So many. Like Chinese, we're talking about all the Asian countries. A lot more foreigners from Russia, Europe. Yeah.
They also have a lot of like foreign professors too, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Including my father too. Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Your father is a professor of what's the university?
It's called KAIST.
KAIST.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a graduate program. He works at a graduate school. So.
Does your dad speak Korean too?
He's actually really freaking good.
What?
Oh my
That's crazy,
God.
man.
He acts as if he doesn't.
He's so humble.
He's one of those silent types that are like, he knows everything.
Yeah. He's actually really freaking good. Like vocabulary wise, he's really good. He reads like the newspaper really like on a regular basis, like Korean, just to like keep up, you know, to practice.
Dude, I suck.
Well, you have an excuse because you guys were like living here for the longest time, right? So you guys are really good at Korean. Despite the fact that you haven't lived here for, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
You went to actual Korean school growing up, or did you go to international?
Right in the very beginning, kindergarten and like first grade.
Yeah.
I went to like the Korean system, right?
Yeah.
And then
okay.
my parents were like, you know what, that's not good. You got to learn English. You got to get out of the, I don't know. I didn't get along with people, right?
Okay.
As a kid. So, which means like, send it to a private school, you know? And I think that was the idea.
So like in private school, you only speak English though, primarily, right?
Yeah. There's so many international schools here.
Yeah, there are.
Really like.
Yeah, there's a
boatloads.
lot. There's a lot of international schools.
Yeah.
So what goes on in your house? Like, do you speak Korean or do you speak English? Like, what's going on there? What's the dynamic?
That's also like, my mom speaks Korean. She understands English, of course. My dad speaks a bit English. And they conversate like English and Korean back.
Okay, that's kind of like my house. Yeah. Like my mom, she's like she uses like 50% Korean, 50% English. Depends on her mood. But if she uses Korean, I don't respond in Korean because I'm not like that great.
Yeah.
And I know she knows English, so I'm just like, what's good? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, dude.
What's good though?
But she understands all that though.
Yeah, no, she does. Because I use it a lot. Like I use a lot of slang. So like she just kind of picks it up.
I see.
Yeah.
But
I'm not like, I just fool around. I fool around a lot. So.
Dude, his conversations with his mom are hilarious, man.
Are you serious?
Like she's just like a friend.
Oh man, I miss her, by the way.
Oh yeah. My mom's the best, man. She's such a nice lady.
So awesome. Brian's last memory of you before he met you in Korea was back in what was this? When was this again?
I was like pretty much it was like around 20 years ago.
Well, how old are you? Like in elementary school, basically?
Yeah, elementary school.
Like so, Brian kept on talking about his uncle, like his cousin, right? From like he's in Korea and the last memory. So this is before you met Chris, right? In Korea, you're like, yeah, man, I'm meeting him.
Yeah, I couldn't wait.
But the last memory you had was like pretty badass.
Yeah, he's a hero in my books because back then, so my old house had like a little swimming pool area in the back in the backyard, And this one kid, I'm not gonna name his name, but he was throwing rocks,
blasted shit, right?
like throwing rocks in my pool. I was like, what the fuck?
It's uncalled for.
But I was obviously like a little boy, so I wasn't like confrontational to him. If anything, I said, please don't throw the rocks. But
hey, please.
it was like, yeah, he kept throwing it. And then that's when Chris stepped up, and then he was like, yeah, don't throw the rocks, right?
Yeah.
And then he kept doing it and actually threw it at Chris. He threw rocks at Chris, missed, and then Chris walked up to him and just popped him in the mouth.
Oh,
bleeding.
Right?
And after that,
that's accurate, right?
Yeah.
After that though, didn't that kid's father tell Chris like, yeah, you're the man or something like that? It was weird. Right?
My dad.
It was actually his dad.
Oh, your dad?
Yeah.
Shout out to my dad.
That's crazy to me
Yeah.
to this day.
That's not really a good way to teach your, like family, especially like young kids. But my dad is just like,
Your dad is a G though.
he's just an
I love
OG.
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he went up to Chris and what did he say? He was like,
No, a tough guy? You tough guy?
yeah.
But I mean,
But he was like smiling as you.
I was expecting him to scold me or like anybody, even my dad. Like he just kind of came up to me like, oh, like nice punch, like nice punch.
Nice punch.
Like-
Nice cross.
I guess this guy was like he had a reputation of being like the troublemaker.
An asshole.
Yeah, just so you guys know, I don't just deck anybody. I mean, throwing rocks in the pool, that's pretty
like-
douchey, man. Like, who does that shit? Like,
Douchey.
like, hey, rocks, throw in the pool. Like, what?
Yeah, like this ain't your fucking pool.
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
You clean that shit up.
Yeah.
It's my place,
So you
man.
knocked him in the face, and was he like, did he cry?
No, he realized he was bleeding, and then he cried. He's like,
his nose was bleeding or his lip popped or
oh, was it his lip? I think his nose.
maybe
I don't remember.
nose. I don't
Something,
know. I remember he was bleeding though.
Yeah.
I
That
think.
just shows that you know how to handle yourself after years of being in Korea, with people like discriminating and shit.
So I guess I didn't take any shit, dude. And I was like, you rocks, no. Bop. That's my logic.
You got
there.
that range though, you got a range on you. Yeah, look at that reach. Damn.
For sure.
Do you consider yourself more American,
Good question.
or Korean?
Wow.
Like that's what I want to ask.
Kimchi or Big Mac?
Kimchi or bacon?
Okay,
Big
so
Mac.
that's dude. I mean, yeah, even you too. Wow. That's a handful, but I would have to say it. I'm a chameleon. Basically, it's like whatever I feel like. But what I what I observe about myself, right? My thoughts is when I'm here, I identify with the States. But if I'm there, I'm like sort of like, oh, I miss
hear you.
Korea. Like I do feel Korean. I want to go back. So there's always that kind of case to kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're kind of like in a weird space. But I hear
We're
you.
the citizens of the earth. We don't belong anywhere, dude. Like I'm halfway between. I don't belong here. I don't belong there. I just identify with both.
Yeah.
Well, where do you want to end up though? Eventually, like where is your
California.
Where do you want to end up, like permanently?
West side. Dude, I mean, not even west side, dude. Like even I have
East side.
But yeah, dude, majority of the family that I have, especially with you, is
East
in
side.
Jersey, is in New York, right? Delaware.
Delaware.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Delaware, yeah, dude. For
Where?
man.
if I were to move now, it would New Jersey probably would be like one of the best
Really?
spots. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right. Because
Crazy.
just because of him too, and because I want to get like closer to my family. Yeah.
Jersey.
Like
Jersey
your-
are hot.
Your mom's side or your dad's side?
Mom's side. Yeah. Mom's side. Yeah.
Dude, I'll hook you up with Snooki. She's
Oh,
like
for
right.
real?
Yeah, she's like she lives like right down the
Snooki's
corner.
like-
What the fuck? Wait, Snooki from Jersey Shore?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like, dude,
No, we
why-
were talking about
what
that.
the
Just
hell?
to give you like yeah, we don't pull that from anywhere. We're talking about that. He's like, he was saying like, oh, Snooki's like, oh, okay, like,
You actually believe?
Yeah, I was like, dude,
You know
what?
Snooki?
Yeah,
Snooki?
it's like Stardust.
Yeah, dude, for real. Cheers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
no.
But I also wanted to talk about some other stuff too, because like
Please do. Yeah.
because you mentioned like the first time we haven't talked a lot.
Yeah.
Like we only met like a couple times, but you mentioned a lot about psychedelics and a lot about your experiences with
Exactly.
and you kind of opened my eyes to that world, because I always thought like, fuck man, like drugs, you know, are bad. You know what I'm saying? Like
Drugs are
say
bad,
no to
okay.
drugs.
Yeah,
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like DARE program and
exactly.
because you grow up like that, you know, like you had like when you're a little kid, you have policemen come to your school.
Yeah.
And they give you like a lecture, like, hey kids, like this is what happens to your brain when you do drugs. And they like put a picture of like a rotten brain.
Yeah.
Like just disgusting. You're like,
Exactly.
oh shit, I don't want to be like that.
You don't have to talk about it if you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, but
No, I'm totally comfortable. I have no shame, dude. I mean, not even that. I think it's important for people to know
right.
that psychedelics, if used right, really, really helps you. It treats you with depression. It opens your minds to different things. You just know that. For me, it kind of helped open my eyes in the sense that we're kind of more than our physical being. We're beyond that. And it opened me up to like questioning my existence, to consciousness, to making me go out of depression, right? Initially, it was, okay, so people have the wrong idea of psychedelics being hard drugs when they're actually really healthy for you, right? We're talking about shrooms, we're talking about LSD and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They really help you. They light up the gray areas of your brain. There's so much benefit to it when you're going inward. You're looking inward, not outward. What I mean by that is you're trying to find, like, questioning reality, you're kind of questioning why we're here, spirituality, basically for spiritual purposes. That's what I use it for. Yeah.
But like shrooms,
Yeah.
pretty much, right? So like,
Yeah.
So when you first did it, was it? Because you told me that when you took shrooms,
Yeah.
You actually it changed your life.
Oh, definitely. It changed
'Cause-
your life. Yeah.
Because like for alcohol, right? It's
Yeah.
a drug too.
Yeah.
But you drink enough of it, you get like really drunk, and you don't remember shit
Exactly.
about what you did, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So So this is like a very different kind of experience that you were talking about. So I was like,
Yeah.
and then you're actually I know you mentioned there are like some actually like conventions in Peru and other countries.
Oh, we're talking about ayahuasca, which is it's interesting that you bring it up. I think I was mentioning it to Brian at one point that Peru has a retreat where people ingest an ayahuasca brewery with DMT in it as like a ceremony.
It's like a tea,
like a 4-day kind of thing.
That's fucking crazy.
And it's like a trip. So you take it. It is psychedelic because it is DMT, but like it's kind of like healing agent because ayahuasca is supposed to be lady ayahuasca, right? And it's supposed to guide you and kind of like clean you or have some kind of cleansing effect afterwards. I don't know the full details of that because I still am researching it because I want to go and experience that. It's supposed to be super spiritual. It's something on my bucket list. I want to do really soon. I hope so.
So is it like a church retreat?
No, not even a church retreat. Can you imagine
like
if
I
it was a
grew
church
up
retreat?
in the church, environment, right?
Yeah.
So
So
you have
every
like
time-
Christian conventions and all this like conferences,
Yeah.
worldwide, and you literally go and you have these like spiritual experiences with God, right?
Yeah.
There's some of these like actual some of these conferences are fucking crazy,
Right.
because you it's not like you're not like taking psychedelics or anything, right? But like
Yeah.
you actually experience visions and
Exactly.
you actually experience God,
Yeah.
like in a real way.
Yeah.
What do you
And a
mean?
lot of these conferences, you actually like meet God.
How what difference does it make from traveling all the way there and then like going to church?
So for example, like church is just like it's just like you kind of do. It's a very systematic thing. You read the Bible together, you sing some songs, and then the pastor gives a sermon, whatever,
Okay.
right? But some of these conferences, like the conferences are much more intense because they're literally like all day seminars that you're taking with like different speakers, right?
Okay.
So these like people, famous pastors and Christian motivational speakers would come from all over the world. They'll be invited to these conferences to speak, right? But the purpose of these people speaking is not just like to be motivational or whatever. It's like to fucking change your life. So people who don't believe in God or they're like really doubtful of his, of his existence, whatever, they get changed during these like conventions and conferences, and
So
even
when it's time to like pray, like they go on another level and they'll start speaking tongue,
right? Like that, yeah, yeah. They would actually be like, all right, like they would have a sermon for like an hour. They would give a sermon for an hour, and then like the pastor would like the message is very powerful too. It's about how God is real and He's in your life and like He's gonna change everything,
Indeed.
And then there's like prayer time, but the prayer time is intense. Like.
So it's just extended. It's
extended. Yeah, it's extended. But some of these conferences though are pretty mind blowing because they actually like he would like like let's pray together, and then everybody in this room is gonna have a vision. Everybody's gonna have their own vision of something, right? God's gonna speak to you directly. So close your eyes and let's pray.
Why can't they just do that at regular church? Like,
because
do you really have to go
because those kind of those kind of places are more for people who are like I want something else. I want to experience firsthand, right?
Actually, I can maybe understand that they want to be kind of like isolated from
everything.
and
isolated
like,
too,
it's all
and
mental.
Like, it's kind of like a trip. You're taking a trip away from your.
What if you bang? Like, do you get kicked out? Because like there's a bunch of people there. No, let's be real. There's a bunch of
always these like strange questions.
I'm wondering because there's so many people there.
I'm sure people bang.
So like, is that a bad thing? You shouldn't bang.
Hell yeah, it's a bad thing, dude.
Why is banging bad?
Because for Christians, they
So you don't bang?
Sex is for marriage. It's saved for marriage. That itself is already like a red. Like if you're banging and they're like
that applies to every church, or are there some progressive? Like,
I mean, it's
progressive. I like that.
Definitely, it depends on the church. Depends on the denomination of the church.
Most churches aren't like that. They're.
No, I wouldn't say most anymore, but because, like you said, there's a lot of progressive theologies and ideologies like Christian, religious ideologies. But I would say that. Still, the very, very, very traditional Christians would, think like that, like what I just said, like very, very conservative.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to ask him. Sorry to take the stage away from you.
I'm totally entertained right now. Yeah.
No, because I know. Okay, I mean, even growing up in high school, those like church retreats.
Yeah.
They're pretty much very similar to these conventions I'm talking about. In a way, right? Because you're taking yourself away from your environment and going somewhere with your church people. As long as you don't go to some Jim Jones shit and drink that Kool-Aid. Yeah. But like some people, they bang. Like I know people who did that. They like hooked up.
I mean, I feel like that'll just naturally happen. But
but anyway.
So going back to Chris.
back to this.
No, just to like add on to that, because like I mean, when you're like a teenager or something like that, right? You go to church, you want to hang out with your friends, and there's going to be girls you're going to probably hook up. Not like they're going to hook up.
Absolutely,
they're going to hang out and stuff. Like I think it's natural in a church setting.
It's natural.
Yeah.
You know what I hate? I'm sorry, but like so. I'm not a Christian, right?
You're not? You're not?
So like in like, when I was growing up, a lot of like Korean Americans, they're religious, they're Christians, right? Mm-hmm. So they're like inviting me to these like retreats and stuff. Actually, that's how I met you, remember? So yeah, like yeah, but I went to the retreat to look for like girls, right? Everybody does. But I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong because I didn't have a religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like I just told my friend, I'm like, oh, thanks for inviting me. Oh, let's see some cute girls, right?
Yeah.
But then if you're open about that, some conservative people, they're, like our peers, will be like, what is this guy doing here? They would give you the look.
Of course.
When someone's judging you, their face, it's like, why is he here? Right. So like, I was like, what the hell, man? And I'm pretty sure some people who are like huge hypocrites. It's like, hey, man, like at least like I'm just truthful, honest about my intentions. Right. Like you guys are like just hiding that shit. And you know what I mean? I hate that.
I would say Christians are very hypocritical, man. Like
I mean, we're people, man.
Yeah,
I
people
mean,
are people. You can't like you can't be judgy and
Yeah.
like tell people like you fucking you're a sinner.
yeah.
Like you're the same shit. We're all the same thing.
I know,
man. You
it's
what I'm
like-
saying?
Dude, that's so awful though. You're totally correct about that.
Yeah, I
like
just
you're-
didn't like
yeah.
that. Like the people were like judging me and stuff.
That's why a lot of people step away from church. They're like, fuck that. You know,
Yeah.
like why do I have to like be in a place where I'm judged
Yeah, yeah.
for something that I'm like truthful about?
yeah.
But that's just reality. You know,
Wait,
it's
so
truth.
Chris, like, are you religious or are you?
I used to be. I mean, like you guys. I used to go to church.
Like
ah,
you,
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's something like similar to probably like Brian more so than Joe. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think Joe's a little bit more religious than we are. Just
I
like
went like once in a while, like during like events,
Right.
like when there's food or like if there's a retreat.
Exactly.
I'm being just truthful.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
food.
yeah.
They have food all the time, don't they?
Yeah, there's like a community center.
Yeah,
And there's
those are
like
the best, dude.
Yeah,
They have
I
good
was
food.
first online with no shame. They're like, who is this guy? But
That's
I
hilarious.
ate a lot. I just go to those events.
awesome, man.
No, but it's not like I show up there. It's not like I look for those events.
Mm.
That would be kind of weird. That's like a little like, hobo-ish. But like, but like,
Where's the event with the food?
but yeah, my friends invite me, which is why like I'm like, yeah, sushi, okay, I'm
yeah,
there.
fuck yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah,
Yeah.
free sushi.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not rich, so
Right.
I kind of fit under the poverty category.
I don't know about that. Wait, are your parents religious? Are they very religious or?
Okay, so between my mom and dad, guess who is more religious?
Your mom.
mom.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Like Korean.
Korea's like that.
Yeah, Korea's like that,
Yeah.
right? A lot of Christians, a lot of Buddhists, right?
Mm.
I think it's still predominantly Buddhist. You guys know?
Oh,
Actually,
really?
I believe
thought
so.
it was more.
Maybe it's more Christian now.
It's more Christian now.
Okay.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
probably right.
I mean, you can't walk a block without seeing a church now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't see a lot of Buddhist temples, dude. Like
Those neon lights
Yeah,
for the
those neon
cross.
lights. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like everywhere.
It's like a
dude.
business.
literally,
dude.
it is.
Yeah, like at Myeongdong, I saw a bar literally. On the first floor, and the second floor, there's like a church, and it has like a cross, right? I mean, it's literally a business now. Yeah.
So you go to a bar, and then on Saturday night,
Yeah, you just
you like hook up, and then
dude.
you repent your sins on
there you
Sunday.
go. That's what it is. That's
You go upstairs.
that's hilarious.
on Sunday morning.
That's hilarious. Yeah. That's what it is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason why I brought up the whole church thing, right? Was it like, is the whole, Peru, what is it? Ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca.
Is this similar to that where it's like people get together and they, do this drug and they experience,
Well, it's not a drug. It's a natural chemical that's from your pineal gland, right?
Ooh, he
Oh,
schooled
shit,
you.
my bad.
No, not even. Like, I mean, drug is just a word. Let's just say that it's not
Yeah.
even like I'm not going to say it's bad or good. Just I mean,
Yeah.
I prefer not to use it. That's all.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I would say like just to answer your question, it's like let's say there's like 5 or 6. It's like a group of people, right? Like maybe maximum 10 people at a time. That get together in one location and they kind of like have a festival with this drink tea. That's kind of to sum it up. Yeah.
And then they would just talk to each other like about your experiences.
Well, not even that. I think
Oh,
what it
okay.
does, I think they meditate or they lie down because yogic positions they vary, and you can lie down and totally.
Probably the safest position to be.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
You're
I would say
taking
so. Yeah,
it. Yeah.
exactly.
This is. Oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No. Go.
Go ahead. I'm
Don't be
Christian,
nice.
So I'm gonna turn the other cheek.
So like what you were saying, like it gets produced from the pineal gland, right?
Yeah, DMT.
You say
yeah.
penis?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
It's also naturally occurring in plants. A lot of people know this, but it's
Yeah.
naturally occurring in plants. Like we're talking about hundreds of species, not just like 1 or 2, right? I think there are particular leaves that like they brew it from. I'm not going to quote anything because I'm afraid to be wrong at this point.
That's
But,
okay. We're
it's-
always wrong here.
right?
We're
But I
never
mean,
right, really.
Yeah,
You'll get used to it. Yeah. But it gets released like 3 times, right? Like there's 3 separate occasions. I mean, it's like when you're born, that DMT gets released, and
Oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, boy. And also, sorry,
Teacher?
and when you're sleeping, and also before you die or when you die, whatever. That's why people have these outer body experiences, and maybe I think it might be from DMT, but no one knows.
Actually, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
You're missing one.
bitch.
One.
Oh,
Sex?
Can you imagine?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so like, let's just
Repent.
say you're trying to climax. You're like, oh my goodness, DMT trip. Like, that's not gonna. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yoga.
That would be really trippy, actually.
Not
Yeah.
yoga.
not yoga. Not yoga.
Oh.
It's something really weird. You probably can't guess. It's when you're in pitch darkness. You're sensory deprived, right? Pitch darkness, but for several days upon a time, when your brain is so confused at what's going on, your body doesn't know how to react. You start hallucinating, right? But this hallucination is from DMT that gets released into your system, right, in your brain. So it's like we're talking about pitch darkness.
So you would experience those in a sleep deprivation. Is it called sleep deprivation?
Well, not sleep deprivation. It doesn't. Let's say pitch darkness. Yeah. Because
not sleep deprivation. What is it called?
Sensory deprivation.
Sensory deprivation.
Sleep deprivation. I think that's called insomnia, man.
No, because I always put those two words together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about just sight.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about you can't see. Well, you can't see anything. Your brain is tricked, basically. It doesn't know left and right. It's used to seeing things because the environment's really confusing to the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even hearing, if you can't hear something, soundproof rooms, they make you hallucinate.
Okay, so that's so interesting. Okay, so basically you brought up a good point. Sensory deprivation, so float tanks.
Yeah, float tanks.
Fucking A, man. You know about this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, sir. But dude, man, I want to do this. I want to do float tank.
I haven't tried. I really want to.
Yeah.
It's a business in the States now.
It is. It's actually it's a huge thing now. It's becoming I'm trying to bring it to Korea, man. Because, dude, we have sauna culture here anyway.
That would be freaking...
Hey,
dude,
we're
that's a
on
business
air.
opportunity.
Don't be saying this, man.
Secret.
Come on.
Bleep, bleep, bleep. Censor.
Yeah, but anyway, so dude, you meditate, right?
Yeah, I meditate.
So, I mean, you actually hallucinate then?
Hallucinate when you meditate, you see things, yeah. So the third eye, the definition, if you close your eyes, a lot of people don't see things, but if you get into a meditative state, you're likely to slowly open it, but it requires so many different things. But you see things, like you said. You kind of hallucinate. It's natural. It's not like any drug-induced state at all. Yeah.
Because you have a tattoo of the third eye too. Does it have significance?
Yeah, this is called the Eye of Horus. It represents a lot of things. Of course, the third eye.
Is that Egyptian?
Well, it is Egyptian.
All right, Horus.
So sun god Ra.
So yeah.
Yeah, basically, this one is his right eye, I believe. So it's like symbol of consciousness, basically, and that's what I believe in.
So there is another level of consciousness that everybody has.
Yeah.
And you obtain that level of consciousness by meditation.
Obtaining, I don't know, that's kind of ambiguous, but when you I think what you mean when you meditate, you end up feeling things you never felt before, and you end up just kind of okay. So when I say seeing, you're also feeling things you never felt before too, because you have direct access to your energy body when you meditate. Same with yoga too.
Hey man, that's crazy.
There's so many things I can't even explain because it's so hard to describe what you feel. It's otherworldly. I encourage everybody to meditate, not just for what you feel and what you witness in third eye and all that stuff.
Just mental health.
Stuff. It's mental health. It makes you observe your thoughts. It makes you analyze different things, kind of like in a third perspective. I had so many epiphanies, with creative work, that I didn't know, when you have a roadblock or you can't think of different things, you end up thinking things through. It helps you so much develop ideas.
Is that why sometimes people ideas pop up before they go to sleep because they're somewhat kind of meditating? You're or am I?
No, that's true. As long as nothing is playing in the background, you just yourself.
Yeah.
That's meditation is not just you sitting down.
Yeah.
It's you kind of alone with your thoughts in the most fundamental way possible, right? So when you're lying down in bed, that's a form of meditation, right?
Right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes there's things that you don't think of.
Right.
Right. And then you're just oh, cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are the most. I think we're most creative when we're actually really tired. So I think that also comes into it relates to what you're talking about in terms of when you're just tired and you're just not thinking.
Yeah.
That's when you're actually the most creative.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I'm gonna try to we're gonna try to meditate more. I'm gonna try to really.
But you said you gave it a shot though.
I did give it a shot because you gave me a tip about there's like a ringing in your ear that you hear,
nada?
right?
Yeah.
Huh?
It's called nada in yogic terms, like nada.
Nara?
So nada is basically the ring that you hear.
Yeah. I thought that was bad. Like I thought that was bad because
it's
like
not tinnitus, no.
in Korea, in Korea, right? Koreans, you know, when I was young, all the Koreans, like my family and everybody, told me that it's like, oh yeah, that ringing in your ear, that means that you have hearing problems.
Right.
That's what Koreans.
That's not even
thought.
like close to the truth, man. Because like if you think of this, okay, so when you meditate, you focus on your nada, right, to kind of shut your inner voice. There are many techniques, but when you start to like ring in more, your frequencies start to change. Like I don't know how to explain. When you get into deep meditation, like you hear it on a different level. Sometimes to the point where you feel like you're hallucinating because you're hearing like this crazy like ringing on the pitch is going up, but you're meditating and you're kind of vibing up at the same time. I don't know how to explain it.
What the
it's like your
man?
frequency. It's like to me, this is like headset to the universe. You download information when you go higher in frequency, basically, when you meditate.
What are some benefits that you get from your daily or whenever you meditate? Like, what are some like of the greatest benefits that you think people will be able to get by doing that? Because
calmness of mind, man.
It calms you.
Like the calmness factor is just indescribable. Like I go through like, let's say, a busy day, and I don't have time for myself, and alone time is really, really important. Not like attaching yourself to the computer. I think just alone to your thoughts. I think everybody needs that. I think everybody needs to kind of like observe their own thoughts from time to time.
That's true.
It's an auto mode sometimes. You're like, my inner voice is just going wild. But if you learn how to control that, it's a different game. It's a game changer.
Yeah, well, we got like 10 minutes left.
Fuck, really?
Yeah.
I feel like I blabbed on and on.
Dude, no,
that's good. Wait, so like, I just want to ask you, what kind of like, what kind of, because you dated like both like Koreans,
blast you,
you know, Koreans and whatever else, right? So, etc. Right?
Humans.
So,
right?
yeah, like, what do you like prefer being like, you know, because you associate with both being Korean and American. Like, what floats your boat?
What floats my boat is, okay. So if I were to describe my type, I think that kind of would explain. There are a lot of creative people, I think, but I tend to vibe with creative people, like you guys.
Creative people?
Creative.
Okay.
Like people who like to create like shit, right?
Yeah.
Like paintings, art, and music and stuff like that. But also, like, I think one of the key factors for you guys too, and including me, is open-mindedness is a huge factor.
Yeah.
And I think Koreans, I'm not saying all Koreans, okay, because there's a really cool like people, I'm sure, like they tend to be attached to material a little bit too much and rules and tradition. Like they have to behave in a certain way. They have to get married. They have to like live by like what their mom and dad says. I don't really vibe with that, and I have a hard time dating Korean people for that kind of reason too. Right? You guys understand and vibe with that, like
yes.
Yeah. So I mean, people who can understand truly my sarcasm, my jokes, and all that stuff, all that good stuff, probably is going to be
very
like,
important, right?
Like
man.
American probably is, you know, like just to put it out there.
Yeah.
What would your mom is Korean?
Yeah.
So does she want you to marry a Korean girl?
I think okay. She brings it up a lot these days for some reason because I'm getting older. Right.
Like she's like, you better marry a Korean girl.
You better marry, right? But I think like secretly down inside, like although she doesn't really admit it, I think she wants me to marry a Korean Christian. That's like her ideal type.
Oh,
someone
like
who
Joe
can
over
talk
here.
to her, right?
Oh.
So it's okay. Like,
So we're one and the same.
yeah, dude.
So we should marry the same girl, right?
Marry the same. I don't know about that. Like that's kind of
like a
That's
twin,
weird, right?
like a twin kind of thing. Like, you know.
Yeah.
If that's legal, that'd be totally crazy, though. Yeah,
That
but
would be
anyway, like,
fucking weird, right?
Yeah, that'd be
It's
freaking weird.
Yeah, you can take her today. Like,
Yeah,
that's
like-
really bad. Okay, all right, let's stop this.
It could be beneficial. Like, dude, I'm gonna go on and on, but like, dude, like, imagine if we married the same girl. Like, dude, there's so much freedom. Like, just take your wife like today, like
Oh,
for a
that's
week,
crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
I also want to ask you a question about your parents. So like back then, interracial marriage wasn't so common here in Korea, right?
Yeah.
So like, were they like ostracized from the community?
Oh, geez. Ostracized? I wouldn't say so. I think that's also like a state of mind. If you feel ostracized, oh, I'm being excluded. I learned that from like experience too. Right?
Oh.
I think my dad, he had self-control in terms of like mentality. Like he didn't let people affect him as much, right? Ostracized, I would say no, but people being really stupid and just being like, rash about things and treating people without, common sense. Like, hey, this guy, he could probably speak Korean, but he did speak Korean, but they would, criticize him right in front of his face. Some stuff that happened to me, basically.
Right.
It's a different time period, but I think most foreigners can't handle it in general. In that time period, especially.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't be able to handle it at all. They'd probably move back.
No way. Yeah.
But he's a different creature. He, I don't know how to explain it. He overcame it. Yeah.
Well, what about her? Like, for Americans, they don't really care about who you like. You marry who you love, right?
Yeah.
But what about your mom's side of the family? Because back then, the 70s, dude, like,
great question.
Shit, like very very conservative about marrying into your race. Like you're marrying the same race, and you gotta marry a Korean person of a certain social status and all that shit. But like. Yeah. This guy is like an American dude. He doesn't even, he's a white person from another country.
Dude.
It doesn't even talk the language. So how did they your mom's side of the family, how did they take it?
Oh, not so good. Obviously.
Oh,
they were
really
against it. Yeah, they were really against it, but they kind of forced their way through because I guess my mom was persistent enough to kind of convince them. But we're talking about your great grandmother, basically, right?
Yeah.
So like. She was the one that was really opposed. She didn't really like my dad and didn't really treat him that well, even in the beginning of the marriage, right? So they had an awkward relationship, and it kind of continued for a while.
Because he was, like...
Just because of his skin. Like, color of his skin. Ethnicity. Yeah.
Damn, that must have been rough.
Yeah, for him it was, because he told me stories about, like, him, like, I can't get along with these, family members. I don't know how to, like, talk to them. Imagine like you're the only foreigner in like a family gathering, and you just don't know what's going on. They're probably talking trash about you. Just to give you an idea.
That's rough.
That's right. Because I know Koreans and traditional Koreans are fuck, man. They're
this is
rough, man. They're a tough crowd.
Yeah, definitely a
tough crowd, dude.
I agree. Yeah,
but it's impressive, man.
Yeah, my dad. I guess that's why I kind of like follow in his footsteps, because he's overcome so much, and I kind of have a lot to learn from him, right? Like you guys. Mm-hmm. Hopefully your parents too. You kind of like follow after their footsteps because they could be role models for you too.
Right.
Not everything, but
Your parents like push you to get married?
Pushing me. My dad's really chill. How about your dad?
Hell no, he's not chill. No, he's chill, but like he's chill. Like, that just came out like so sporadically. I didn't mean to say it like that.
No, not even. No, he's not chill about like.
He's very particular. I mean, my parents. I know. Like even they're like, okay, no, that's okay. Just don't get. You don't have to get married now. But I know, they think that they want me to marry at a certain time, by a certain age.
Exactly.
To a certain type of girl. So like,
man, I feel so sorry for you guys, because like my household, they don't say like anything to me. Like my parents don't say anything.
Not even like they don't even ask you like who you meeting, or are you meeting anybody lately?
No, they don't ask.
Oh shit, okay.
They don't ask, and they don't set like, oh, you have to marry like a Korean girl or.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, my dad, he's in an interracial marriage, so there's that too.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it's just a lot of maybe, and also like they grew up in the States too. Like my mom was in middle school, my dad was high school, so there was that kind of effect too.
Dude,
I told you too, like they were kind of Korean actually. I mean Koreanized. Like they were very Korean. I mean,
right.
Like in the beginning,
right?
Like it's only until like middle school where they started changing a lot, like their attitudes for certain things, like. for example, like living together, you know, like, you know, before like marriage. Yeah. Like my mom wasn't like with that, but like now she's totally for it. She actually encourages it.
Wow.
Yeah. So like they changed in their own ways, but that's also like a long period of time too. So they did kind of like gradually change, but they're at this point where they're on the same level with me. They're on the same page with me. I mean, so
I see. Oh,
yeah.
When you meet a Korean girl, you're like fluent in Korean.
Oh, yeah.
You don't look Korean. So what is there? Are they like, oh shit, like, oh yeah?
Oh yeah. Don't do that, please. Like, oh yeah, you speak so good. I mean, like
oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, what is the general like response or reaction?
Okay, so to be honest with you,
Korean
they're more intimidated than anything else. I don't know if they compare themselves to me or something like that, but the general thing, I don't know. That sounds kind of weird, right?
Intimidated?
But, yeah, they feel a little bit intimidated. Like, why is this guy?
You're better in Korean than them.
Well, can you imagine that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the feeling is, but like.
Well, because you have a white face.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I mean,
like in Korea, it's called 적응이 안 돼, which means you can't
adjust.
Yeah, can't adjust. Like you're white, but why? I don't get that.
Oh, even if you explain,
dude. Yeah, for real. Like
I told you why, dude.
For some reason, it's like they can't like. The logic is not there. Like, let's say even for you, right? Even for Joe and even for Brian, like you've lived here for a while to where you know that people kind of like, hey, like you speak really good English. They throw out a stupid comment like that, but they can't register.
Yeah.
Right? I think that kind of is comparable, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's the same thing with me dating. It's like, hey, like I don't understand.
Why the fuck?
You're really good in Korean. Okay, so let's leave it at that. I'm just
What is the most annoying question that you've gotten here living in Korea?
The most annoying question, I would say, anything to do with language is number one.
Okay.
Because it just happens too much.
Why do you speak Korean?
Yeah, why do you speak Korean? Like literally, like, dude, they straight up say that. It's rude as.
Why do you speak Korean?
It's like, why, even for you, like, why do you speak English? Like, if I ask you that, so like why are you so good at English? Like, because I lived in the States for like half my full.
Yeah, like
freak.
Yeah.
Fucking obvious.
Yeah, I mean that's the major question I would probably be super annoyed with, but luckily I don't have to deal with that with you guys, right? So
I have a question for you. Why do you speak?
Right? F you.
Damn, man. Well, we
that
enjoyed.
Was a quick
I know,
hour,
man.
bro. What
really
the hell was that, dude?
So quick.
Dude,
but we're glad having you on, and
awesome.
We plan on having you on again sometime soon.
Yeah. Awesome. It's a pleasure. Subscribe.
That's why he came on here.
Yeah, that's why I came on here, so you guys can subscribe. Hit the subscribe button.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Find us on iTunes, YouTube at STBeef00.
Yeah, definitely.
Instagram. Yeah, Joe will twerk for you. Yeah.
Oh, for reals?
Yeah. Gotta get them, likes and followers. Gotta do what you gotta do, right?
More like
show more skin next time. All right, buddy?
Dude, twerk videos are needed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Twerk is definitely trending nowadays.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
That was a wrap.
Yep.
Yes,
See you guys
sir.
later.